guys, Thunderbolts, non-spoiler review. I saw the movie last night. I decided to sleep on it because it was like past midnight and just do it this morning. So let's get right into it. I will not be spoiling the movie. I'm going to post a separate spoiler review. And right off the bat, this was a really solid movie. I'm excited to report. I definitely recommend seeing it. A really nice addition to the MCU. I really liked what they did with this movie. Not perfect. I think the Rotten Tomatoes movie, similar with Sinners, puts it a little bit at a disadvantage. You know, when they say 90%, 95%, what that means is it's not 95 out of 100. That means 95% of people think it's a 6 out of 10, think it's a certified fresh. But still a really, really good movie. What I like most about the movie, getting into non-spoilers, is really just seeing the characters interact. It really felt like a comic book movie. There was one specific scene early on, and that's really what these movies are about, is seeing different characters from different properties that you would normally never see interact. That's why the Avengers movie was so popular in the beginning, and I really think Marvel has gotten away from that. So that was really, really cool, seeing these different characters, fight each other, which we saw a little bit in the trailers. And I really like that we got a movie. This movie is what I guess I'll call a bridge movie. It not only is a good movie on its own, but it really does move along the MCU. And it brings characters that you normally wouldn't get the spotlight on, in front of the spotlight. We haven't seen Ghost since Ant-Man and the Wasp. We haven't seen Florence Pugh's Black Widow since Hawkeye. We've seen Bucky a lot, but it's always like for 5 minutes, and he doesn't really do anything, even in like an Infinity War or the Black Panther, post-credit scene. All these post-credit scenes. It was good to see him get some shine. David Harbour, I thought, really was the star of this movie. I thought he was really, really funny. I think he's great as this character. He's really believable, and his size is perfect for it. He's a really big guy. So I thought he was great. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I thought was really good, although I wish... This is one of my critiques with the movie. It was really good seeing her in the MCU. She's a great actress. It's just cool in general seeing someone who who have watched on Seinfeld for so long now in the MCU. And I think her character makes sense. I wish they use her as like an exposition dump. Like she's like almost like Mrs. MCU. It's like all of her conversations is like trying to catch people up who haven't really seen other properties. And I think Marvel just needs to treat their audience not with more respect, but start treating us like we're a little bit more intelligent. If someone hasn't seen a show, too bad. Just they don't need to really I call it MCU talk. They talk about what's happened in the MCU, but in such a corny way. I wish they would make the dialogue just a little bit more mature, I guess. The plot of the movie, I think, is really strong, and I think this movie is what I would call just clean cut. It's a very clean cut movie, so different than Captain America 4. We didn't get any drama from this set. It seems like they just had a script, they got the actors, they shot the movie, and it was really clean. There is a post-credit scene, which you should definitely stay for. There's two. There's a mid-credit scene, which is more comedic, but then there's a post-credit scene. So stay all the way to the end. It's really good to see Marvel get back into a post-credit scene like this. No, I got to be honest. I wasn't underwhelmed by the post-credit scene. I was expecting a little bit more because people were talking about how amazing it was and how it was almost 3 minutes long. It's actually the longest post-credit scene in MCU history. It was still good. It was definitely relevant to the MCU, and it will excite some people. I'm going to talk to my spoiler review why. I do think it's a little bit of a strange post-credit scene, but this is one of my critiques of the MCU is even if you have a bad movie or a mediocre movie, you can still have a really, really good post-credit scene, and I don't know why the MCU has abandoned it. This was their staple. This is what Marvel is known for. The movie ends, and you stay for the post-credit scene. So it's good that they got back to it. I just wish they kind of abandoned it a while ago. I don't know why they did that. I think the stuff with Sentry was really cool. Really cool character. The Void, everything with the Void was cool. I have a few critiques, of what they did with him, but overall a really cool character, and I hope to get him back. They certainly need him for Doomsday. He's got to be one of the strongest guys. I really don't know who can take on Sentry in the entire MCU. Other than maybe Scarlet Witch and Thor and maybe Doctor Strange. But other than that, I think he's kicking everyone's ass. So really cool character. Louis Pullman played him. I didn't even realize it was Bill Pullman's son. So that's pretty cool. Bill Pullman, obviously famous actor, has been in a million things. And another character who I really like is John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son. I really, really love his character. I feel like one of the most underrated parts of the entire MCU since Endgame was John Walker's character development in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. I think he kind of gets shit on as a bad guy way too much. He really hasn't done anything. He was like, honestly, Sam Wilson and Bucky were kind of a dick to him in the show. And then he doesn't take the super soldier serum. He's just a soldier. He's trying to replace Steve Rogers. They're kind of a dick to him. They're a dick to him. And then he takes the super soldier serum. He kills a terrorist, a literal terrorist. Captain America Steve Rogers has killed 1 million people. Watch all of his movies. He's killing people left and right. And just because this guy killed someone, I guess in broad daylight, who had just killed his friend, he's now a bad guy. And I think it's kind of ridiculous. I think his action scenes are really, really cool. I like the way he fights. It's not like Steve Rogers. It's like, it's different, but it's really cool. And yeah, I was really glad to see him. Taskmaster, Ghost, had some really cool scenes. I don't know. I want to say another critique of the movie is at some points I feel like the movies, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a lot of times it's more of a tripod movie than a group. There's really 3 of them at a time together. And I think maybe they needed a couple more characters. I think they could have mixed in a few more villains or anti-heroes in the beginning of the movie, ones that maybe they could have killed off and maybe made the action a little bit better. Another thing about this movie is the opening sequence. It's not a movie that goes kind of scene to scene to scene like Civil War, right? We're going scene to scene to scene to scene. This movie is more like has long extended scenes. There's not as many scenes, but every time you get one, it's a longer extended scene, and it's a very different type of movie. The opening scene really leaks into almost like an hour into the movie. It's hard to explain, but there's an opening plot, and then it just kind of goes. A lot of times in the MCU movies, the opening scene will be like introducing the villain, or it'll be like in the past, and then it'll jump to our main characters, and it'll jump back. It's not that type of movie. It's like a long extended scenes. My biggest critique of the movie overall, even though I'm very positive about it, is I do wish it took itself a little bit more seriously. The humor did work for me, although there were a lot of times where, especially the Julia Louis-Dreyfus scenes, where I'm like, I wish this movie, I always bring up Winter Soldier, just took itself more seriously. Winter Soldier took itself seriously. It had Robert Redford, and it wasn't like, oh, we're embarrassed to make a serious movie because we're Marvel. Like, no, we're making a serious movie and you're going to take it seriously. And I think this movie a lot of times undercuts itself where there's humor, where I think there should be tension, but instead there's humor instead. But other than that, I think a really solid movie. A lot of people are calling this one of the best MCU movies ever. Again, it's extremely hard to crack that top 5. I mean, for me, that top 5 is Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Endgame, and then you're looking at maybe Iron Man 1. A lot of people say No Way Home. I like Homecoming a lot. But any way you slice it, people put Ragnarok, Black Panther. Any way you slice it, it's really hard to pierce that top 5. So I don't think it's anywhere near that. I would call this like an upper mid-tier MCU movie. So when I think of the upper mid-tier, I'm thinking like maybe Guardians. Maybe Guardians 1, or the Guardians 1's a little bit better. I'm trying to think of like comparable movies to this. Ant-Man 1, although that's an origin movie, so that's also a different type of movie. It's hard to compare this to other movies. I don't think it's as good as Winter Soldier, but I guess, you'd slot it right underneath it in terms of like tactical, grounded, hand-to-hand combat MCU movies. I think it's better than Captain America 4. I think it's better than, Ant-Man 3, Quantumania. I think it's better than Doctor Strange 2. I think it's better than Thor 4. No Way Home. I mean, it's just so hard because that's on another level with, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. So I can't really put it against that. But I got to be honest, I think the script is better than No Way Home. I think even though I just care about Peter Parker so much more as a character, but I think the script is certainly tighter and a little crisper than that movie. I think it's better than certainly a lot of the middling MCU movies like Thor 2, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, A lot of those early, even Thor 1, I think it's better than all of those types of movies. So it's certainly, better than at least I think half the MCU. I think it's better than most of the shows too. So this was a really good addition to the MCU. It's really what they needed right now. Just a drama-free, solid movie, funny, entertaining. And, it's interesting the Marvel formula has always been talked about as such a big negative for so many years when it really is a positive. The Marvel formula at its inception was a huge positive. It was, you go to the movies, you laugh, you have fun, you're entertained, and you're like, wow, that was a really, really fun 2 hours. So I don't know where we got to this point where the Marvel formula is negative. The Marvel formula means consistency, not only at the box office, but in these types of movies. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm going to go do my spoiler review, so go check that out, but watch the movie first if you haven't seen it. This is my non-spoiler review for the Thunderbolts. Thanks, guys, for watching, and as always, I'll see you on the next one.